Mr. Speaker, July 20th marks the 38th anniversary of the Turkish invasion of the island of Cyprus. That invasion claimed the lives of about 5,000 Cypriots. In the neighborhood of 200,000 people were forcibly expelled from their homes during that time period. To put that in perspective, that was a third of the population of the country. If this were to happen in the United States, it would be the equivalent of about 100,000 people becoming refugees in their own land. And as we stand here today, that occupation continues. There's over 30,000 Turkish troops on the island. They're stationed on over a third of Cyprus. And sadly, that occupied area of this beautiful land is one of the most militarized areas in the world. I have seen this on both sides of that divide. It is truly tragic that despite the wishes of Cypriots on both sides of that line, that this cannot be resolved. And the Cyprus-Turkey issue, unlike many others, is one that the international community has been able to agree on. There have been 75 resolutions adopted in the Security Council, more than 13 by the General Assembly, calling for the return of the refugees to their homes and to their properties, and for the withdrawal of those Turkish troops from Cyprus. President Dimitris Christofias has followed through on his promise to make the solution of that problem his top priority, his principal concern. I met with him when I was in Nicosia 3 years ago, and his commitment to finding a solution greatly impressed me, in that he had reached out to Turkish Cypriots. I had my own opportunity when I was in northern Cyprus to talk to Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots, and they confirmed that their desire was to find a resolution to this problem, to find a way to have Turkish troops leave the island. And there's certainly no lack of goodwill, I think, on the side of, in terms of the Cypriot community. So since 2008, there have been these full-fledged negotiations with leaders of the Turkish Cypriot community. I think that the problem here is that effort needs a reliable partner, a reasonable partner. And I question whether Turkey is listening in that process. From everything I've seen, they're not listening yet. I would point out that Cyprus and the United States share a deep and abiding commitment to upholding the ideals of freedom, democracy, justice, human rights, the international rule of law. After the Lebanon crisis in 2006, if you'll recall, Cyprus served as the principal transit location for people evacuating Lebanon, including our U.S. citizens. I had constituents that went through Cyprus at that time. In the '83 Beirut barracks bombing, it was Cyprus that provided the staging ground for the U.S. evacuation and rescue efforts after that bombing. But I'd point out also that since the discovery of gas reserves in the eastern Mediterranean, the U.S. has advocated including revenue sharing from energy resources in those Cyprus settlement talks, urging that they be shared with the Cypriot community on both sides of that line. It's important to note that there are concrete efforts underway by the heads of the respective communities to reunify. Greek and Turkish Cypriots alike want to see that solution. And again, in my view, what stands in the way here is Turkey at the present time, and I wish they would reconsider their position. You can see the extent to which Cyprus is willing to compromise with these newly discovered energy resources. Greek Cypriot leaders are willing in principle to share the benefits of future gas production with Turkish Cypriots. Their only request is that revenues not be shared with those 30,000 plus Turkish soldiers on the island, and that's still not good enough for Turkey. You know, Mr. Speaker, 38 years of occupation needless militarization in this part of the world. This divide should have ended long, long ago. There is still time to right this wrong. I hope Turkey reconsiders, and I yield back.